The mind and the senses need engagement. It's not that you can tell the mind to just keep quiet. You have to engage the mind positively. If you engage the mind negatively, then the mind is your worst enemy. But if you engage the mind positively, then the mind can also become your best friend. So, the first business to advance in spiritual life is to control the mind and senses. Therefore, Rupa Goswami, in the Sri Updeshamrita, Rupa Goswami was instructed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to write books on the philosophy of devotional service. And he gave us many wonderful books that Prabhupada translated, two of the most important books, which were Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instruction. So in Sri Updeshamrita, Rupa Goswami says, Vacha Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam Jiva Vegam Udara Pasta Vegam. Rupa Goswami clearly says that if you want to advance spiritually, you must control the mind and the senses. So the Prabhupada goes on to talk about this point that one must control the mind and senses. And in the previous verse, Prabhupada quotes that famous verse from the 18th chapter of Gita, where Krishna says, three things should never be given up: yajna, dana, and tapasya. Lord Rishabdev, in giving instructions in the 5th chapter, has emphasized the word tapo again and again. For example, he says, tapo devyam puttaka yena sattva. My dear sons, please perform austerities, tapo. For whom? Devyam, for the pleasure of the Lord. In a way, if you analyze society, the materialists are also performing austerities. To even live in the material world, in the heavily polluted cities, is big tapasya. Then do 3 jobs, 4 jobs. But that is tapasya for material goals. So that is not what is recommended. What Lord Rishabdev says, tapo divyam puttaka. Perform austerities for the pleasure of the Lord. Now someone may say, if I perform austerities for the pleasure of the Lord, what will I get in exchange? Is there anything to be expected in exchange? Lord Rishabdev gives us the answer. He says, in exchange, Shriyet Asman Ramya Sokyam Anantam, you will realize unending spiritual pleasure. Devotees, when they come to Krishna conscious movement, they should not think that if I perform some austerity to achieve success in spiritual life, this austerity will go in vain. No, it will not go in vain. It will give you spiritual pleasure. It will give you unending spiritual pleasure. That confidence must be there. That when we make some sacrifice to please Krishna, it will not go in vain. You will get unending spiritual pleasure. So, this point gets repeated again and again in the scriptures. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains what's one of the benefits of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. He says, Ananda Buddhi, what is it now? If you chant the holy names of Krishna sincerely, then it will give you unending spiritual pleasure. So, what is being emphasized here is the need to control the mind, the need to engage the mind positively. The mind needs engagement. Prabhupada has made this point hundreds of times in his lectures. The mind needs engagement. But how do you engage the mind? We need to engage the mind positively. If we don't learn to engage the mind positively, then there will be trouble. Now Krishna gives us so many examples of engaging the mind positively. For example, Krishna says, again and again. Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji man namaskuru. Think of me, bow down to me, offer your homage unto me, become my devotee. Krishna is saying that. Think of me. And he has made that point many times. Why? Because Krishna knows the mind needs engagement. The mind cannot operate in a vacuum. Our philosophy is the mind and the senses, they all need engagement. But we need to engage them positively. Just like Krishna talks in the Bhagavad Gita of the austerities of the body, mind and words. With regards to the body, Krishna says, engage the body in service to the Lord. Engage the body in service to the Brahmanas. Practice non-violence. Practice celibacy. Practicing celibacy means that even if you are in the Grihastha ashram, you live according to Grihastha principles, not for sense enjoyment. And one who lives according to Grihastha principles is practicing celibacy. Practice non-violence. So Krishna explains. Then Krishna also explains the austerities of the tongue. What's the austerity of the tongue? Krishna says one of the austerity of the tongue is to regularly recite Vedic literature, to chant the holy names, to abstain from prachalpa, to speak words that are truthful, but to speak words in a palatable manner. In other words, when we speak, we should speak in a palatable way, not in a very insulting, offensive way. Krishna also explains the austerities of the mind. Engage the mind positively. So, the point that is being made here is, don't listen to the restless mind. Don't listen to the polluted mind. Control your mind and senses. Perform austerity. Austerity means we voluntarily give up what is detrimental for spiritual advancement, and we accept what is conducive for spiritual advancement. This was explained very nicely by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was explaining to Sanatana Goswami the 6 principles of Sharanagati. Sharanagati means to surrender. Rupa and Sanatana at one time were both holding very important positions, but then they both withdrew from government service. And Lord Chaitanya instructed Rupa Goswami in Prayag and later on Sanatana Goswami on the process of surrender. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu listed 6 factors. First one was to accept what is favorable for spiritual advancement and to reject what is unfavorable for spiritual advancement.